Welcome everyone, and welcome to our first ever Taste of Tailgating event. This event is a collaboration between the University of Maryland Alumni Association and the Terrapin Club. Thank you all for joining us. Should be a fun event. On the call today, we have three great Maryland alumni, Earl Holman, Tessa Trach, and Andrew Terrell. On the call, Tessa will walk us through a beer cheese cooking dish, and former basketball player Andrew Terrell will make it alongside her. And then we'll have Earl Holman from Crooked Crab Brewery in Odenton, Maryland, walk us through a beer tasting. So we'll start off with Earl, and he'll take us to the first beer.
Cool. Thanks, Garrett. I'm Earl. I'm from Crooked Crab Brewing Company. I'm the founder and owner. Hopefully, most of you guys had the opportunity to come out to the brewery and grab some of the beers. First beer we're going to start with today is a Crabby Kolsch. If anybody wants to start drinking now, you can go ahead and crack that open. I will do that as well. So quick background on us. We opened in 2018, February, so we're just coming up on 3 years pretty soon. It was started by myself and my two partners, Alex and Dan. All three of us went to University of Maryland together. We're class of 2009. Seems like a long time ago now. So I was actually a computer science major in college, had nothing to do with making beer, but I was homebrewing on the side. I fell in love with beer, and it was kind of a pipe dream of mine to start a brewery. And one day I was just hanging out with Alex and Dan, and the three of us maybe had a few too many beers, I don't know, but we just said, hey, why don't we do this for real? Like, your home brews are pretty good. Like, let's go in. So I quit my job and went full time, started the brewery. So I hope you guys like our stuff. I'm really excited about it. It's a hell of a lot more fun than doing IT for a living. So yeah, we opened in 2018. Most common question I get asked is, how did we come up with the name Crooked Crab? So we wanted to, we're all born and raised in Maryland. We wanted to have a very Maryland forward name. So the first name that we thought of was Blue Crab Brewing Company. We're like, it's Blue Crabs, it's Maryland, it's perfect. So, that was the name we were operating under. We went to get it trademarked, and the trademark got rejected because there's a winery in Virginia that makes a brand of wine called Blue Crab Wine. And they don't distinguish between beer and wine when it comes to trademarks. So we had to go back to the drawing board, but we liked the Blue Crab thing. We liked the crab thing. We liked the Maryland thing. So we're just kind of like bouncing names off each other. We had a super long text thread that had a lot of terrible names in there. And semi-delirious, I texted Dan only half jokingly, what do you think about cooked crab? And he misread my text as Crooked Crab. And he said, oh, Crooked Crab, that's an awesome name. I said, yes, that is an awesome name. So that's how the name came to be. So that's who we are. We, over in Odenton, Maryland, so we're kind of centrally located between Baltimore and DC. We've got a tap room. You can come have beer on site. We also can a lot of beer, and we distribute around the Maryland, DC area. So if you can't come out and get our beer in our tap room, you can usually find it somewhere around you, local beer, wine store. First beer we're drinking today is the Crabby Kolsch. So this is a traditional German style Kolsch. Kolsch is a really interesting style in that it originates from Cologne, Germany. And in Cologne in the 1700s, Pilsners and lagers were very popular at the time, but all of the breweries in Cologne, Germany were making ales. So the city of Cologne passed a law that breweries inside the city limits were only allowed to make ales. You're not allowed to make lagers, you're not allowed to make Pilsners. So in order to try to compete with the other breweries in Germany that were making these very popular lagers, the breweries in Cologne made basically a hybrid beer. It's a kind of a hybrid between an ale and a lager, and that's what a Kolsch is. So it's basically like a Pilsner, except technically it's an ale. So it's clear, you can see through it. It's very clean, it's crisp, it's refreshing. It's a very nice light beer. It's kind of an everyday drinking beer. It's great for cooking. So if you're looking for a beer to make this beer cheese with, Tessa, I'm looking at you. This is a great one to cook with. Yeah, it's just like it's a good tailgating beer. This is kind of like my end of day beer that I have all the time.
I think having a beer that you can and cook with is essential. So I'm very glad you pointed that out.
Yeah, you can drink and cook with this. It's also very good food beer, in that it just kind of goes with everything. You can have this with wings. You can have it with beer cheese. So yeah, just pretty simple. It's a beer. It's a beer flavored beer.
And just a reminder for everyone, if you have questions about beer making or anything for Earl, feel free to put them in the chat. But Tessa, do you want to get us started with our tailgate recipes?
Sure. So with any great tailgate, in addition to beer, you probably are going to be hungry. That's where I come in. I'm Tessa Trach. I graduated in 2017, and I'm originally from New Jersey, where I learned my love of cooking from my parents. Hi, Mom and Dad. And and so I graduated with a degree in journalism. And part of what I loved about that was just meeting people and like sharing stories and experiences with others. And I feel that you can really do that with food as well. So just for fun, I started a food Instagram called All the Cheese Please, PLZ. And was doing a lot of eating out, but now in the pandemic, it's turned into more home cooking. So I started photographing some of my food at home and eating it too. And this beer cheese was one of the more recent things that I made, and it would be great for a tailgate to go with beer that you're drinking as well as putting in the dish. So it's a recipe from delish.com. So we're gonna make the beer cheese with a pretzel ring, and I'm gonna teach Andrew how to make it, and I hope that you enjoy it as much as I do. Andrew, do you want to introduce yourself too?
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm the test subject, I guess. Yeah, I graduated from Maryland in 2019, and now I'm here cooking for you all. So we'll see how this goes, and hopefully I don't burn the kitchen down.
Hopefully this will be an easy one that you can share. I hope there's more than one of you there, Andrew, because this makes a lot of food. So I guess we'll get started. So if you're cooking along at home, and Andrew, the first thing we need to do is preheat our oven to 350 degrees. And then a component in a lot of cheese dips is cream cheese, because it's really soft and it like binds other things together. So you're gonna take your cream cheese, and mine's been sitting out a little, so it's already a little bit soft, but put it in a microwavable bowl, and then we're gonna put it in the microwave for probably like 45-ish seconds until it's soft but not liquid. So just the whole thing. And you can we're trying to minimize dishes here, so make sure it's microwavable, and you can mix the rest of your stuff right into it. While that's in the microwave, you should probably have a sip of crooked crab beer.
You want me to jump into beer too, Tessa? You let me know when you've got a good break.
After we do the cheese dip, then beer too. More seconds. Andrew, can your dogs eat cheese, or are they not partaking in the dip tonight?
I'm not sure. They're waiting for a mistake, so we'll see if I make one here. If I do, they'll be participating in the eating.
Okay, so your cream cheese should be soft enough that you can like squish it around, but not liquefied. How's it looking? I think my mom's cooking too. How's it going, Mom? Thumbs up, great. Okay, we got our cream cheese, Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now you're gonna add your the cheddar cheese, save a little bit extra for a topping, but add most of it into your bowl. You're gonna add your half cup of mozzarella cheese. This dip is really flexible, so you could add mozzarella or you could add something sharper like Gruyere or anything with a little kick to it if you want it to be fancy. Then you're gonna add your Dijon mustard. I also recently learned that if you don't have Dijon, you could just go with yellow, like hot dog mustard. It works just the same. Fun fact. Then you're gonna add your garlic powder.
Tessa, what's the amount on the cheddar cheese? Sorry.
Oh, 1.5 cups of cheddar cheese, Mal. And then the Dijon is 1.5 tablespoons of Dijon. Andrew, you got that part?
Yeah.
Okay, and then garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. I'm not usually huge on measuring. I'm like kind of a wing it girl, but in this case, as you wish. Okay, and then we're gonna add the beer. I've already measured out. It's only 1/4 cup, so plenty left over for drinking. And as Earl was saying earlier, like a lighter beer would be good, but you can change the flavor depending on the flavor of the beer. If you wanted to use something darker like an IPA, it might make the dip a little bit sharper. And then we got to do some chives. Did you already chop your chives, Andrew?
Yep.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to chop a couple of chives. So you're going to add about, what's it say? Like 2 tablespoons of chives. So a good amount, but you want to save some left over because we're going to top it at the end. That little green spot of green really makes for a great photo, which is essential in any food vlogging situation. Okay, and then a little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt.
How much beer, Tessa?
1/4 cup.
1/4 cup.
And then once you have it all, I'm trying not to spill anything. Once you have it all in your bowl, you're gonna mix it all together until it's one consistency. That's the word.
And then just a couple ticks of the salt and pepper.
Yeah, just to taste, you know. My house likes things salty, so I would go heavy on the salt, but whatever you're feeling. All right, and while we're mixing, Earl, want to take us through beer 2?
Just realized I was on mute. So beer 2 is going to be Haze for Days. So Haze for Days is our flagship beer. It's our most popular beer. It's a New England style pale ale. So New England style pale ale is it's a new style that's kind of become extremely popular in the last 5 or so years. Depending on, like traditionally IPAs, you think of it being very bitter. Hops, when you use them in beer, depending on how long you boil them, will give off a lot of bitterness. So the longer you boil hops, the more bitterness you get for hops. So breweries in New England had this crazy idea. What if we use a lot of hops in beer, but we don't boil them? What if we use them very late in the boil, or we dry hop our beers with hops? When you do that, you actually get a lot of fruity, tropical flavors and aromas out of the hops without getting the bitterness. So traditionally, when you think of IPAs, you think very bitter, piney, earthy, but New England style IPAs and New England style pale ales are actually very juicy, very tropical, and very fruity without getting that same bitterness that you get out of traditional IPAs. So that's what Haze for Days is. It's completely unfiltered. As you can see, it's hazy in appearance. And this is going to give you a lot of those fruity, citrus, grapefruit, pineapple, mango, a little bit of tropical notes off of it without getting the same bitterness and that same like kick that you would get out of a traditional IPA. And it finishes nice and dry, so it makes you want to take another sip. And at 6%, it's very sessionable, so you can have 2 or 3 of these and still feel pretty good. So this is just a great like everyday drinking beer. I love the fruitiness without getting that bitterness. Anybody have any questions for me or Tessa?
We do have one for you, Earl. Lindsay wants to know how you name your beers. And she said same text thread process.
Yeah, how we name our beers is really just a random process. I mean, if somebody says something funny, we actually have a whiteboard in the back of our brewery that whenever somebody says something dumb or funny, or we see something funny, we'll write it on the whiteboard, and then eventually it may turn into a beer name. So yeah, the inspiration can come from anywhere, really. We actually have a beer, we have a double IPA version of Haze for Days. It's kind of a bigger, stronger version of this beer, which we have called Excessive Juice. And we named that beer after the University of Maryland football sign that they were holding up against Texas like 3 years ago that said "Danger, excessive juice." I saw that and I said, that is an awesome name for a beer, Excessive Juice. So we filed that one in the memory bank and was happy to pull that one out. So not many people know that's a University of Maryland inspired beer name.
That's awesome. I love that inspiration, especially from the Terps.
Tessa, I had a cooking question in the chat. Sorry.
Oh, yes, we did not use the baking soda yet.
Okay, just want to make sure I'm paying attention. It's been a long day.
All right, are we ready for the next step? So you have your cheese dip. It looks like a dip, right? Okay, great. You can feel free to taste it because it has nothing raw in it. So it's delicious. If you want to eat it right now, it'd be just as good. Tell me what you think. And then you're going to set that aside. And then no. And then the next.
I'm scared to taste it.
It tastes good, I swear. Give it a try. Just a little.
All right. Very good.
All right, so the next step is the pretzel making part. So while we make the pretzel, while we turn the biscuits into pretzels, you need to turn your stove on so that put your pot of water onto boil. So you should have a pot of water that has 2 cups of water in it, and you're gonna turn it on to like medium high, and you're going to. This is where you use the baking soda. You're gonna put your baking soda into the water and then whisk it in quickly to dissolve it into the water. Okay? 2 tablespoons of baking soda, and then you're gonna whisk it. Come closer. You're gonna whisk it to dissolve. Very loudly. And so the baking soda is what's gonna be the magic agent that will turn the biscuits into pretzels. Are we on that step? See water happening. Okay, this is a good sign. 2 tablespoons. And you asked if I make cookies. I don't really bake because baking is much more of a science, while cooking is more like you can just throw it together and it'll probably turn out good. So if I find a good chocolate chip recipe, I'll let you know, Andrew, which will be a good dessert to your beer cheese dinner.
Exactly. That's why this will be perfect.
Okay, do you have your pot going?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
Perfect. I'm gonna put a lid on mine so it'll boil a little bit faster, and then we're gonna go back to the cooking board over here. Okay, someone asked me my favorite cheese, and that's a really hard question because I love all cheeses, but probably goat cheese and herb goat cheese. That's goes on pretty much everything: eggs, salad, meat. It's amazing. Highly recommend. By itself, obviously. Okay, so now we're gonna make the biscuits into pretzels. We're gonna make the magic happen. So you're gonna take your can of biscuits and open them, all while keeping an eye on your pot of water so it doesn't go crazy. Okay, there we go. All right, so you're gonna open your biscuits, and they come in circles, obviously, but we're going to cut each of them in half. So you're gonna take one circle, cut it in half, so you have 2 half moons, and then you're gonna roll each of these into a ball. Just like this. I think she said cut it in half. Yes, cut it in half. All right, so we're gonna do that, and then just keep an eye on your pot. If it starts to boil, just turn it down a little bit to a simmer because you want to keep it hot but not boiling. And then while we do that, Earl, go for number 3. Unless Andrew, you got it. No questions right now.
No, I have total questions. What am I doing with this?
Okay, take your biscuit. Take one biscuit.
Yep.
And then cut it in half into a half moon.
Yep.
And then you're just gonna ball it up. Roll it into a ball.
Both of them?
No, just one.
Okay. Got it.
Perfect. Okay, and then you're gonna have multiple little pretzel balls.
Beautiful.
And you're gonna do that with all of your biscuits. So you should have many pretzel balls.
Got
Oh, and while Earl talks, I'm gonna wear my
it.
headband. All right, go for it.
Thanks, Tessa. I love it. So next beer we're going to be doing is the Bike Minotaur West Coast IPA. This is a new one we just came out with. So everything I said about Haze for Days, this one's the exact opposite. Where Haze for Days is a very juicy, tropical, fruit-forward beer. This one is a more traditional IPA, so you'll get a lot more of that bitterness, pininess, citrus notes off of this one. It's also a little bit stronger, so this one's 7.5% ABV. So it'll sneak up on you if you're not careful. It is fairly clear in appearance, but I really enjoy this one. Nice kick of bitterness. You get the pine, citrus, grapefruit off of it, and drinks very smooth for 7.5%. So you can cook with this beer, but as Tessa said, it's a little bit more aggressive than a beer like the Kolsh, so it may give you a little bit more of a zip to your cheese dip.
We're back. Okay, Andrew, how's it going?
Going well. I've only got like 2 more things to roll.
Okay, excellent.
He's putting in work.
Water's not boiling yet. I know this is a lot of work. We're doing great. Okay, once you've created all your little pretzel balls, we're gonna slit a X in the top of each. And you may be asking, why would we do that? That seems ridiculous. It's for the aesthetic, obviously, because it's gonna look so beautiful when you bake it and take it out of the oven. It's all about the photo op. We have the end goal in mind here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a bunch of little pretzel balls. And then you're gonna just take your knife and just make a little slit in the top. Do that with all of them. What kind of biscuits did you buy?
I think Pillsbury. Yeah, Doughboy.
Nice. There are so many choices. There's like extra butter ones now, and I'm like, is that really necessary?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it would probably taste extra buttery and delicious.
Yeah, I actually got extra buttery and fluffy.
Fluffy.
Oh, so you're gonna have the best pretzels you've ever tasted.
Yeah, I was just talking about if you get extra buttery, you probably, it's unnecessary, but then
It's okay. You live and you learn. You might never go back.
Exactly.
Okay. X is complete.
All right, Tess, are we putting them
Yeah.
in the bowl now? In the dish?
We're about to put them into the pot.
Oh, forgot. Sorry.
But good question, because you are going to want to get your pie dish at the ready, because after we pretzel them in the pot, you're going to put them right into your dish. Yes, that's the one. And you can, the recipe calls for like a skillet, like a cast iron skillet. Anything that goes in the oven would probably work just fine. Totally up to you. Okay, I think my water's boiling. How's it looking over there?
Good. Yeah, I'm boiling.
Okay, perfect. All right, bring it down to a simmer because you don't want it to overheat. So like a medium low. You can see the water is probably a little opaque with the baking soda in it. You don't need to bake, you don't need to grease the pie plate. That's a good question because the biscuits are already buttery enough. You don't need to grease it. Well, I don't think you need to grease it. It couldn't hurt though. If you want to be safe, go for it. Okay, now you're gonna take your little pretzel babies and you're gonna put each one into the pot. You're gonna need a slotted spoon for this. And then you're gonna drop them into the pot for about 30 seconds. So I would, depending on the size of your pot, I would do like 5 or so at a time. Come closer. There we go. My videographer is working really hard over here. Okay, perfect. So you're just gonna leave those in there, make sure they just get coated. And so the X's are on top, because remember, that's for the aesthetic. That's what you're gonna put on top of your, like, for the presentation. So you're just gonna wait like 30 seconds. And then when they come out, they're gonna kind of look like little dumplings. They look very strange, and you're gonna be like, why, how are these gonna be pretzels? I have no idea, but the baking soda works the magic, so just trust the process. Okay, so now that's probably about 30 seconds. So you'll take them out, drain them a little bit, and then you're gonna put it right into the dish along the edges, just like this. Cut side up. Wait, my arm's in the way. Just like that. And then you're gonna keep doing that until you finish all your pretzels.
Threw 'em all in.
How's it going?
Going well.
Excellent.
I threw them all in at once, so.
All right. So maybe give a little more, like 45 seconds. You don't want to crowd them, you know?
Yeah, these things are as squished as they get. Aesthetic will most definitely not be there after this.
So maybe do like 45 seconds to make sure they actually get. Excellent. Slotted spoon. Nice work. Okay, perfect. All right, so these next round is good. And then once you get close to the end, it'll be a little bit of a tight squeeze depending on the size of your pan, but just make them nice and snug. Ooh. Oh no. Uh-oh, okay. All right, I have one more round left. Any other questions while we're here? It's looking good. Almost done. Don't they look so cute, Andrew?
Oh yeah. Yeah, cute is exactly how I describe these.
Yes, Christina, what's your
like
question?
dumplings, though. Just
They do look like dumplings, right?
yeah. I'll be impressed if these actually turn into pretzels. I have.
You are going to be impressed.
Okay, well, I have my doubts right now. Just so everybody knows.
Okay, I'm in the business of turning doubters into believers. All right, so then, like I said, as it gets closer, you just want to make sure they all get tucked in there. And oh, this pie dish is a little smaller than my other one. Okay, we're gonna leave this one out because I don't want to crowd my pretzels. Okay, that's fine. Just leave it over here. All right, and then make sure you turn your stove off. Okay, and then come back. Thank you. Okay, Andrew, all your pretzels are in the dish.
Yeah. Well, oh. Yeah, I need to put them in the dish. I put them on the cooking thing again.
Yeah, put them in, make a nice ring. Okay, oh wait, I saw there was a question. Hold on. Let me read. Okay, question for you, Earl. What's your favorite beer of your 3 so far?
Probably Haze for days. I guess it depends on the mood I'm in. If it's a really hot summer day and I just want something light and refreshing, I like the Kolsh, but Haze for days is kind of like my day-to-day drinking beer.
Excellent. Okay, and then What was the other question? Oh, my favorite thing to cook, appetizers or entrees. I like to entertain, so I like to do a little bit of everything, but with appetizers, you can make more smaller things so everyone get to taste a little bit. If you just make an entree, then usually you're full by the end. So I think I'd vote for appetizers, a little hors d'oeuvres. And Andrew, how often do you cook? Are you a big cooker?
No, yeah, this is one of the first times.
So happy we can be part of that for you.
Yeah, this is a special process for me. Hey, so two things. First, is it
Yes.
okay how they look? Like if they're not, pleasing to the eye?
So you're gonna want to make a ring, like put it around because the dip is gonna go in the center.
I've got it now. I need a bigger one. I had one left over anyway, so this is perfect.
Perfect. It was meant to be.
You got a bigger one?
If it's small, remember they can be snug. They can like get tucked around the edges.
Perfect. I got my mom digging for
Thanks, Mom.
You're welcome.
All right, and then Earl, once we get this in the oven, take us through beer 4. We're almost there, I promise.
Yeah, no worries. I'm on the edge of my seat. I want to see how this turns out.
You take you time you put it in there. Just leave it, put it more than like 11.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, we got a ring going. Okay, so now you're going to take that one egg and you're going to crack your egg into a little bowl, not into the pie dish. Crack your egg. I already cracked my egg. That's why it looks like this. Oh, you already did it too. Okay, beautiful. And then put a drop of water into that bowl with the egg. Just a drop. Perfect. Okay, and then you're gonna just whisk it up a little bit so it becomes more scrambled, I guess. He's got an actual whisk. Amazing. Okay. All right, and now do you happen to have a pastry brush or a silicone basting brush?
That I don't have.
Okay, just the back of a spoon will do.
Perfect.
And then you're going to, it'll be kind of hard because I don't have a good angle here, but you're going to basically paint the pretzel doughs with the egg, and this is what's gonna make them brown and like pretzel. Oh, thank you, Nina. Okay, yeah, you're just gonna take the back of your spoon and you're just gonna paint them a little bit. Do not need to go crazy. You definitely won't use the whole egg. Just do your best, and you just paint it just like this. This is what helps them brown and get that like nice glisten after they come out of the oven.
Nice.
The nice glow. Do you know why that's important?
The aesthetic.
You got it. He's learning. Chef in training.
We
Okay,
need Checo on this. Checo's the cooking picture wizard.
I remember following him. Maybe he was my inspiration. I didn't even know it.
Yeah, you need to go to Food Check.
All right, I'm on it.
Checo, for anybody who doesn't know, he's our 7-foot Slovakian who played for Maryland from like 2015 to 2019 or so.
Mm-hmm. That sounds right.
Okay.
All right, so once you have your egg painted on there, you're gonna take some, do you have any flaky salt, like decorative salt? I know that sounds really weird.
I have kosher salt.
Okay, you know what, that works. You're gonna take your salt and you're gonna just sprinkle it on top of the pretzels because any good pretzel has some salt, right? So you're gonna do as much or as little salt as you see fit. I bought this salt at a ridiculous price because I made some cookies that needed like a flaky salt and all my friends laughed at me. But here I am using that $8 salt. I just want the world to know. Okay, I like them salty, so I'm gonna have some nice crystallized salt on here. Hope everyone has low sodium in their life. Okay. All right, beautiful. And then what's the only thing missing in our pie dish here?
Picture.
Oh, the cheese.
The cheese. The cheese,
So you're gonna take your cheese dip that's been sitting here so patiently,
the cheese dip.
just like this. And you're gonna put it into the center, into the ring of your pretzels. Yeah, just like that. And it's not gonna look cute now, but it will be delicious. And then because we know the aesthetic matters, you can just kind of like smooth over it to make it look a little prettier, just like that. Oh, and don't leave any cheese behind in your spatula. That's essential. No cheese left behind.
None.
Sure. Okay, and then the final finishing touch is getting the cheese off my hand. And then just a little sprinkle of that extra cheddar. You should have like a little bit of cheddar left over. Maybe. You're looking confused.
Yeah. I got a little sprinkle
Oh
left.
yes. Okay, just a little, and you're just gonna sprinkle it on top for the melting aesthetic.
Oh yeah.
All right, so this is really looking very beige right now, but you're gonna put it in the oven, and in 33 minutes, you're gonna be wowed by the pretzel that's about to happen. Beautiful. Wait, let's see it. Let's see it. Show us what you're working with. Cheese bay. I love it. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, now pop it in the oven and set a timer for 30.
Yeah.
There you go.
I thought you meant your pouring thing.
Both.
It looks pretty good.
Excellent. I'm so glad to hear that. Okay, now in the oven and set a timer for 33 minutes.
33.
Okay, and then my oven cooks faster than yours, so I'll show you what happens at the end after Earl tells us about his fourth beer.
Cool. So last beer we're gonna do is the Nitro Stash. It's a nitro breakfast stout. This one was a fun beer. We actually nitrogenated this beer instead of carbonated it. So there's actually nitrogen in solution instead of CO2. So what that does is when you pour it into a glass, which I would recommend to pour this beer into a glass, you can pour it very hard and you'll see a nice kind of cascading effect similar to Guinness. So this beer is an oatmeal stout that we brewed with coffee and vanilla and chocolate. So it's very light. It's 5.2% ABV. So even though it's a stout, it's very light in body and it's going to have a very smooth, creamy texture to it. And you're going to get a nice coffee aroma. We partnered with Chesapeake Bay Coffee Roasters, which is a local coffee company just maybe 10 minutes from us down the road over in Crofton. They provided us some really nice fresh coffee for this. And so we conditioned it on coffee and a little bit of chocolate and a little bit of vanilla just to kind of help that body. And I really enjoy this beer. It's a great breakfast beer, but what I really like about this beer is that for a stout, it's very light and it's very easy drinking. So the body is very smooth. I can drink a lot of this without feeling full or heavy.
When you said breakfast beer, I heard like noon game.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, we have a coffee stout called High Joltage, which we make almost year round. And I literally drink that for breakfast. That's my morning coffee. The funny thing is I love coffee stouts, but I don't actually drink coffee. I don't know what it is. Coffee to me just tastes too watery, but coffee and beer tastes really good to me. So I drink that a lot.
Whatever works.
I did see a couple questions come in. Let me roll through this real quick. How do we make the beers consistent every time? So making beer is a lot like cooking, honestly. You have a recipe with ingredients that you follow. And if you take very detailed notes and measurements, you can repeat the same process every time. So, you know, how much of each ingredient do you use? And then when you're boiling, what are your gravities? And then what temperatures are you fermenting at? What temperatures are, your water and everything else. So there's a lot of science that goes into it, but at the end of the day, it's a recipe that you're following. So you can repeat it over and over and over again, as long as you take very detailed notes. And do we serve food along with the tasty beers at our place? We do not serve food, but we do have food trucks. Almost every day we try to have food trucks over there. So we rotate them out. So we have different food trucks every time. You can just follow us on Facebook or check out our website and you'll see who we've got out at any given time. I think we've got a Mexican food truck there today. So pretty tasty.
Awesome. Okay, while you answer your next question, I'm going to take my beer cheese out of the oven so you can see the finished product. Now, come over.
Do it up. What makes the stouts darker compared to other styles? So beer has 4 ingredients. Almost every single beer has 4 main ingredients: water, malt, hops, and yeast. So what gives beer its color is the malt. So malt is just grain, and you can roast the grain to give it more like a darker, like roastier flavor. There's a spectrum of grain. So light beer all the way to dark beer, you just have grain that's been roasted a certain amount of time. So dark beer uses a lot of roasted malt or black malt, chocolate malt, anything that's been roasted a little bit more. So it's the malts that gives the beer the darker flavor and also gives it a darker color, but also gives it some of that more chocolate coffee flavor as well.
Sweet. Okay. For the big reveal, the biscuits have turned into pretzels and the cheese has melted onto the top. And then I wasn't lying about the aesthetic. Take a good look, and then I'm gonna add the chives on top. Just for that pop of green, it really brings your eyes, to the important part, aka the cheese. And then for the final shot, my iPad, there you go. With the chives.
Very nice.
What do you think? Are you surprised?
Yeah, I am. I'll admit fault. I didn't press start on the preheat button. So I'm still sitting here preheating. But I'm excited to see what mine turns out to be.
Okay,
33 minutes, right?
33.
That's all that
What
matters.
was your number at Maryland? It wasn't 33, was it?
24 for the first 3 years and 4 my last year.
Almost 28. You could do 20.
We're close. We're
And
close
a
enough.
little.
That's how I'll remember it. And almost 28, 33.
And almost 28. Yeah, exactly. Okay, this is gonna be a little hot. Do you want to see what it looks like when you try it, when you pull it apart?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna not burn myself in the process. Can you hold this up? Yeah. Okay, wait down. Okay. So it's like a bit, because they're made of biscuit, they easily pull apart. And so you just kind of pull it out. And it looks like a biscuit on the inside. And you just put the cheese right on top. This is going to be way too hot to eat right now, but you can get the gist. And it would be great for breakfast with that coffee stout, I think. So we have a perfect meal here, Earl.
I love it. One of the things I love about beer is that it has such a wide variety of flavors. And people who say that they don't like beer, they're not big beer drinkers, I guarantee you that I can find something that you'll enjoy. And that's one of the challenges that I take upon myself at Crooked Crabs. We have a very diverse lineup of beer. We have everything from light beer to beer that tastes like coffee to beer that tastes like, fruit juice, the super hoppy tropical IPAs. We have sours that can taste very fruity. We actually have a peach cobbler sour on tap right now, which is a great Thanksgiving beer. It tastes like a peach cobbler. So for, beer has a bad reputation for a long time as being a light yellow fizzy beverage that doesn't taste very good, but I would open your minds to what's out there. There's a lot of awesome stuff, and there are a lot of great breweries in Maryland brewing some really cool things. But hopefully, you can try some of our stuff.
I was gonna ask if you really like sours. No.
Sours are, I do like sours. Sours are very love-hate. People who've never had sour beer before don't know what to expect. I usually tell them that sour beers are kind of like lemonade. You get like a refreshing tartness, but they also can be very fruity. So ours do have some tartness to them, which can be a little bit of a shock to your system when you think that you're drinking beer. But yeah, I like them. I drink a lot of them, but I drink everything. I love beer, so.
You're a little biased.
Yeah.
Someone asked if you can buy your beer in the Laurel, Columbia area.
Columbia, we have a lot of our beer at Perfect Pour, All View, Cindy's. I'm just trying to think of like basically any like better beer store around there. You can come out or you can find our cans and stuff on the shelves. The best place to try our beer would be in our tap room in Odenton. And if you're in the Laurel, Columbia area, you're only like maybe 10 or 15 minutes away from us. So it's just a straight shot down 32. We're literally right off of 32 and Telegraph Road. We're like 4 miles south of BWI, right just past Fort Meade. So if you're in the area, I would recommend to come to the tap room. That's the best place you could try all of our stuff. But any better beer store in the state of Maryland, central Maryland area, you probably would find cans of ours.
Can you buy it in Indianapolis?
What's that?
Like, can Andrew buy it in Indianapolis?
Not in Indianapolis, unfortunately.
Well, I know that yours is preheating. Someone asked what's my favorite thing to pair with cheese, I think was the question. Besides pretzels, probably like jams, like fruit and crackers, a traditional charcuterie board. Anything fruity goes really well with cheese. Cheese is versatile. I think you can put it on everything, but I'm biased in that department as well. There's a game of like cheese or ranch, like which goes better, and pretty much any food you can either pair with cheese or ranch, but I would pick cheese in almost all cases. And someone asked me before if I should grease the pan, and I'm thinking now that might have been a yes. But you know what? We live and we learn, and I'll just let this pan sink in overnight, and it's gonna be totally fine. So the thing about kind of like with beer brewing, you make some mistakes and you learn along the way, right?
Yep.
Andrew, what are you pairing with your cheese dip once it's ready?
I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. Yeah, give me some suggestions.
Maybe a vegetable if you want to have a balanced diet, but I think that's overrated. So I'd probably go with beer. Last time I made this, I had wings with my cheese dip, and that was really, really good.
That's what I'm gonna do then. I'm gonna have my parents order me wings tonight.
I think that is a really good choice.
Yeah.
And make sure you share the cheese dip with them as well.
Somebody said, is Andrew in somebody else's kitchen? Yeah, this is my parents' house. They lent me their kitchen for an hour, so I'm taking advantage.
I think also because if you were traveling, say you're at your parents' house for the holidays and you wanted to bring this cheese dip, it travels really well because you can serve it cold or hot, obviously, or you can make it ready to go and just throw it in the oven when you get there. So it's really good for traveling for the holidays or for making to a tailgate because it's going to be delicious regardless of the time that you're eating it.
Starting now.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to eating this. I got 33 minutes left, so.
Awesome.
I can't wait to send you a picture to your cooking channel.
Yes, send a picture. I'm sure you can send one to Lauren and Mary and Garrett, and they'll send it out a final photo to everybody at the end. But I hope you guys enjoyed our cooking show. I don't know. Oh, I have another question. Hold on.
You've got a bunch more, I think.
Oh gosh. Okay, the key elements of a tailgate charcuterie. Well, I think you can do a themed charcuterie and maybe include some wings, some cheese, maybe some grapes. That's easy to eat. Fruit if you want balance. Beer is probably going to be an essential component. What's the key elements of oh, got it. Can you make this ahead of time and store it in the fridge? Yes, you can make it ahead of time. You can definitely make the dip ahead of time. That can stay if you put it in the fridge. But yeah, I made this one earlier today so I could show you what the finished product looked like and just warm it up a little bit. It still tastes really good. And if you have leftovers, because it's a lot to eat for like 1 or 2 people, you can put it in the air fryer and it crisps up the biscuits even more, or you could put it back in the toaster oven and it's still really delicious. Also good for breakfast. Any other questions for Earl or Andrew or I?
Yeah, I think that about wraps it up. Thank you to all of our cooks today. And thank you to Earl, Andrew, and Tessa. I'll just go through each one. Earl, do you have anything else you need to plug related to Crooked Crab?
No, I mean, just follow us on social media, Crooked Crab Beer, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you're in the Maryland area, I would highly recommend to come check us out. It's an awesome spot. We've got indoor and outdoor seating. We've got plenty of beer to go. But if you can't come out, search out our beer, local beer and wine stores.
Great. And Tess, what was the name of your Instagram account for food?
All the cheese, please, PLZ. You can find me on Instagram or in the chat. And hopefully, if you have any recipes, please send them my way. I'm happy to make them. And if you ever make this beer cheese dip, I would love to see your photos of it.
All right. And Andrew, what's the name of your podcast and anything else you need to plug?
One Stop Pod. That's with Anthony Cowan Jr. He just graduated last year, and yeah, check that out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever.
Perfect. And leave a 5-star review.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And this is being recorded, so you guys will all receive this email and a follow-up with the videos. You can watch again and make that delicious beer cheese dip. But thanks again for joining us on the call. And if you're not already a member, please join the Alumni Association and the Terrapin Club. But outside of that, have a great weekend and go Terps.
Have a good night. Happy Friday, everybody.
Go Terps.